So I want to talk about this now because it's so important, and it's the importance of focusing on the process, not the outcome. And it's so easily said, and it's almost like, yeah, we already know that we need to do this, but when it comes to it, and because we're emotional beings, we don't actually apply it in the moment. So we want the results now. We think that smashing ourselves with like training for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we're going to immediately see amazing results. Or we think that because now we started eating in a different way, we're going to see results like this in like a couple of weeks. But it doesn't work that way. It's a lag effect, and the body doesn't actually sense itself being in a deficit when it does do a fat loss phase for like at least 2 weeks, especially when you're new to dieting, especially when you're just starting out, because your body's never been put through the systems, like the chemical reaction processes of a diet. The more that you're conditioned to the whole lifestyle, you don't take as long to respond to it. But most of the time people put themselves in fat loss phases when they aren't ready for it, so they will never actually see results for longer than like 2 weeks anyway. You can't skip the foundational phase if you want to get results and make the most out of a fat loss phase. And the foundation phase isn't just a physical phase, it's also a mental phase, because if you're not mentally in the right place, or you have dieting fatigue, even if you haven't been dieting for your life, or you've been trying to diet without dieting, you still aren't in a place for fat loss if you aren't like recovered from the diet fatigue. You haven't yet developed a stable base, a foundation to work from. Because your body doesn't even, like, if you're changing your calories and your macros every week, every random day, you're inconsistent with your protein intake, you're inconsistent with your veggies, you're inconsistent with your calories, your body doesn't know what the hell it's going to get any given day. It doesn't know the stimulus it's provided at all. The body loves consistency. The body thrives off predictability, certainty. It likes to know it's safe. And that's why sporadic intakes never work. That's why people who hoard their food never work. That's why people who don't have a plan end up with shit old cravings and hunger and crazy appetite signals, because it doesn't know what it's getting. Eating at regular times every single day is the best way to create a rhythm with your appetite and a rhythm with your hunger signals, because it knows what to expect. Like, how hard is it to start eating breakfast, for example, if you've never eaten it before? Or how hard is it for you to take away snacks or dessert when you've never had to do that before? But something that's actually helped me get past my whole grazing, nibbling idea, I spoke about this in some podcasts around 95 to 100. They were the really good ones when I was talking through me trying to work through my bad food habits last year, because I only just started really implementing this at the start of last year, and it changed my life. And that's being strict with myself. As much as I wanted to not do that strictness, being strict with myself with the exact times I ate. I had 5 set meal times, and I could only eat at those times. I wanted to eat in between them, but I didn't let myself. And those meals were freaking huge meals. And they kept me going. I wasn't hungry. It was just habit. I wanted to eat in between them, but I didn't let myself because I had those set meal times. And sometimes you need to get that strict with yourself. Sometimes you need to actually do harder shit, make way more sacrifices, and get so uncomfortable in order to get to the other side where things feel easier. It's never going to be easy, but the shit that you struggled with before won't be a struggle anymore. And then on top of that, it's focusing on the fact that you will never, I was talking about this analogy where you have this big riverbed. You want to get to the other side of the river. You will never, ever, ever get there by just wanting to get there. Like, it's not a delivery airdrop. You need to actually get across the river. And the more that you focus on the other side, the less you're ever, ever, ever going to get there. And it's just going to seem further and further away, because you need to actually walk on the stepping stones. You need to focus. You can't even focus on like the stepping stones over there. because you can't get to that stepping stone. You need to start where your feet are. Be where your feet are. Look where your feet are. Get familiar with where you are so you know where you are. And then take the steps you need to get there. And if you think about the river, though, the river is all your negative habits. Like, I was talking to one of the girls in here, and she's like, every time I don't exercise, my mental health goes to crap. I'm like, well, there you go. That's part of the river. Every time you don't exercise, every time all that accumulates, you're going to have to work your way back to shore and start again because you're getting thrown off the rocks. Or you're just going to have to park camp on that stepping stone and not ever make it to the other side for a good while. Maybe slide backwards if it gets really bad with the river and you let more things accumulate that are negative for you. And then she was saying how when she woke up early for the first time, and then she did it again, every time she does that, she's less rushed. And when she's less rushed, she has time to eat her breakfast. And when she has time to eat her breakfast, she isn't stressed out. And that is when she shows up to the gym. Everything compounds like a domino effect. Know what the stepping stones are and know what you need to get through each one and to each one. And know what causes the river to gash and surge and take you off your track. Because that's the shit that matters most. So keep that in mind. And again, with the food, plan ahead. Honestly, plan ahead. Because if you're not planning ahead, you're leaving everything up to chance. And we don't make the best decisions in an emotional state. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be better than what you were doing. And I used an analogy today as well. Not really an analogy, I used an example of the fact that I wanted to start leaving the house at 6:30 instead of 7, and eventually 6:15. But I'll be happy with 6:30. 6:30 is where I want to leave, because that makes me not rushed when I'm training. And I probably still finish at the same time like I am right now, except later because I'm doing this. But I can take my time in the gym and I can focus on my movements so much better. And I felt my glutes more than ever today. And the same with last week. I took my time. I was able to warm up with my hips because I still have hip issues. And I was able to focus on the movement, slow down the tempo, not rush myself. So when I was working on that, like today I left at 6:45, not 6:30 like I did all of last week. I could bash myself up, which I did feel like crap for like 5 minutes because I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going back to like leaving later. But then I was like, you know what? I didn't even leave at 7. Like, I left at 6:45. That is progress. Like, I've always used to leave at 7 or 7:15 and sometimes even be rushing late for that. But we don't recognize the things that we have improved on because it's not perfect. And if all you're going to do is beat yourself up for what's not perfect, how are you ever going to get results? Because someone who's constantly spoken down to and berated isn't going to, like, why would you want to keep doing it if all you're doing is beating yourself up for everything that's not perfect, every time you slip up? And if you keep trying to focus on what you want to avoid and what makes you feel like shit and how crap you are and how much you always fail, and identify with the person that does this, because we don't realize we identify with it, but we do because it's all we knew. And a lot of people are scared of success because they can't imagine what it will be like. They're so familiar with their now that they can't imagine over there, so they find ways to sabotage already. And if you can't see it, you'll never achieve it because it's foreign, and you'll keep sabotaging yourself. And if you keep hating your way there, you'll sabotage yourself back anyway, because you've literally tried to hate your way there. You cannot hate your way to the end destination. It's why this whole coaching focuses on mindset. It's why I say what I do, even though it seems like it's stupid woo-woo fluff talk. Oh my god, that's a waste of time sitting down with my thoughts. Oh, that's a waste of time putting my thoughts into my training. No, it's shit that matters, because they're the stepping stones towards where you want to go. and you'll never actually get over it to the point where you won't need to keep doing those small things anymore, because it's life and we're emotional and it applies to everything in life. I'm still going through the steps. I'm still on the stepping stones, making my way to the other side. But there are like a million stepping stones behind me. A million that I've made my way through. And they're like ground to me now. They're just pavement. Because I've come so far. And that's the purpose of this. So I hope that helps. And I love you all.